Jay, I wanted to talk about mental health for men. And what does a mental self-care day look like for you?
Oof.
If you do have one, and if you don't, what would it look like?
For me, I have to get some sort of exercise in, something. I think that's as someone who has an intense personality, I need an outlet to sort of like relieve the pressure valve. So for me, like a good intense workout, like thanks to Mike for recently introducing me to Barry's. So now I've become like a Barry's head. Honestly, it's like the type of workout that I like because I'm pretty a rah person, and those workouts.
You're an ambassador now, man.
I'm like the rah. I'm like a rah person. So I feel like when I'm in those workouts, I kind of let go of a lot, and then I always like to spend at least an hour by myself, complete silence, or, just away from people, just to sort of talk to myself, regroup myself, see where I'm at mentally. And if I had a good solid conversation with a friend of mine, my best friend and I speak almost every day. So that's that's someone who's seen me early day. Not a lot of people know who early day John is, but he does. So to have that person sort of like be able to speak with a lot of context because they have so much background on me. And when I say something to them to accurately pick up on the context, to understand where I'm coming from, really does a lot for me. So, and I think that I think me and Mike touched on this on an episode this season. Men don't really talk to each other like that. Me and my best friend, I've always had that person who I talk to another man. And now that I found Mike, me and Mike talk a lot intimately about things off camera, and we challenge ourselves. And I think as men, that's good to have that man conversation, because I think growing up, like coming from a Dominican household, and everybody knows about Dominican men, they're very machismo. So like speaking about your emotions and speaking about things you're going through was like almost a no-no. Men, boys don't cry, boys don't do this, blah, blah, blah. So, kind of flipping the script on that, and men, like always having that male energy where I can kind of just speak to somebody is always good, So yeah, some exercise, some time alone, and some time to talk to my friend or my best friend or anyone who knows who I am as a person, man or woman, is what a mental health day would look like for me.
I love that.
Yeah, I just want to add to that too, with the Barrys. That just speaks to our relationship, because I remember that morning, he was like, yo, what's Barry's? I don't like it. And you was kind of like not wanting to go.
I said like, yo, I have a bad hip. Yeah. I got my hip replaced in 2020. And I was like, look, dude, the only people I know who've gone to Barry's are fit dudes who are throwing up at this class. So I'm like, I don't got a six pack. So how's this thing supposed to look?
You was kind of mad we was late. And I was like, yeah, you're going to be happy we're a little bit late.
I was happy we were
and
late.
We're doing it. And he's in the mirror, like during the class, he's like, yo, shaking his head at me. Then afterwards, he was like, yo, it's a good class.
Yeah, it was.
We were both done.
We were both done.
I love that. Okay, so Mike, you did mention that you've been divorced. Mm-hmm. What has that relationship, or the ending of that relationship, taught you that you're able to take on to whatever you do next with your, relationships as you go forward?
To me, I've learned that everything is a choice. Any type of relationship. So you choose to show up for your partner and things like that. Like, it has to be an effort. No matter how much time you knew someone or anything like that, or you think you know someone, it has to be a choice. Even in friendships, like, it's a choice for us to, let's record, let's do this, let's put in that effort. Because as soon as one of us doesn't choose this, then that's it, is done. That's in any relationship. I can know him 20 years. The day it's like, no, I'm not doing this, or I'm not going to show up for you and all that, then that's how it is. And even romantically, never get comfortable or used to a person or think that it's just going to happen automatically. You have to choose to, I'm going to show up for that person. So, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so Jay, the question I have for you is accountability. So a lot of women, they feel like men, and this is what the Instagram, the social media is saying. Okay. Men lack accountability, and when something is going wrong, men struggle to take accountability. So what's your take on that? And both of you can answer this, but what's your take on men not taking accountability in regards to when they're in a relationship with a female, and just not understanding how important accountability can be?
I think that women, rightfully so, need more from men nowadays. So their expectation levels, rightfully so, has increased because women are now, closing the gender gap, although there's a lot of work. So like the equity gap in whatever work society is closing, but we still have a lot of work to do on that front. But I think that men have gotten used to not having someone who keeps them accountable. Like men like to say they like accountability, but like not emotionally. And something that Lindsay has done a great job at is whenever I am lacking, she makes it known that I'm lacking. And I'm not going to go ahead and pretend that I love hearing it, but I do need to hear it, right? I always take that with me. And I always try to implement the criticism or the feedback into what I can do moving forward. Now, I'm not perfect, right? As you'll tell me, but I think that a lot of guys who don't like to take accountability in a committed relationship, that's probably not the person for you if you're not willing to take accountability, right? And I think that a lot of people are in relationships with people who they shouldn't be in relationships with, and they're afraid to leave the relationship because of XYZ reason, but most likely than not, like you, Mike, like, a lot of dudes are just in relationships because they think it's the thing to do, right? Like sometimes they just like, I should be in a relationship because I'm this age or that age, but I'd rather be single than to be with somebody who I don't really want to be with and who I don't really value their opinion in any way. So, and I've known a couple guys who are in those types of relationships, and whenever they want to start yapping about their girl, saying like, oh, she's this, she's that. And then, when you try to talk to them as a guy, I'm like, well, she kind of has a point. And then they start spazzing on you. It tells you everything you need to know, right? So yeah, accountability I think is extremely important. I think that social media has it right. Men need to step up generally, and at least be open to hearing the feedback from your partner, right? And that goes both ways, but especially with men.
I love that. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think when I think of that question, I think more so men aren't emotionally accountable. I think, especially nowadays, what you hear on social media is some men feel like, oh, okay, if I'm paying the bills or anything, if I'm financially responsible, that's it. That covers the base, I don't have to be emotionally attached. And I think because a lot of men, now therapy is getting more popular, but a lot of people still, or a lot of men still don't tap into their feelings or even understand or know themselves. And, I could say for myself as well, like probably the last 3 years I started going to therapy and like really trying to dig deep into myself and to see, why do I react certain ways in relationships, or why do I would say self-sabotage or something like that, and that's just deeper feelings that I have internally that I didn't handle yet, and I think a lot of men have built up aggression that isn't handled, and they just kind of cut that side off. So,
and one more thing to add, I guess, I think as men we think that our biggest value is solving issues, and obviously, as we know, one big problem in any relationship is financial, right? So we think when we can provide, we're solving an issue, and that's like covering the basis. But as we know, women are now bringing money to the table now, right? So they don't. A lot of chicks don't need your money anymore. So when you take away that feeling good element of it, like, oh, I'm here to solve your issues, and you're like, okay, what else do I do as a man, right? Like I have to now open up emotionally.
How can you make her feel emotionally safe? How can you make
emotionally safe, right? A lot of people could feel financially security safe, but some people may not feel emotionally safe in that person's hands. So we need to do better as men to sort of try to be open, try to make it a safe space whereby your partner can voice their opinions, and for them not to feel like, scared of being blown up. And that's something I'm currently working on too, right? Like, because anybody who knows me, I don't take criticism the best sometimes, but I always do listen. I'm always listening, but it's just a matter of just when do you catch me?